Welcome back to Energy First with Sarah and Jen. We have a special guest with us, Bill Lucas, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. First of all, just want to run over the very basics of why we started this podcast, why it's so important. So we concentrate on everything that has to do with education within the energy sector and education period, particularly education in the avenues that it leads towards trade careers. We concentrate on legislation, so that's legislation that is already passed that's affecting our industry, or legislation that has been proposed and could potentially affect our industry. And then most importantly, the people that make up our industry, because that's truly the basis of everything in regards to oil and gas and energy. And as usual, just want to cover some of our sponsors. So we do have Deep Well Services as a sponsor. Thank you guys very much, Mark and John and everybody else.
Should we announce? They have a virtual career fair on April 27th at 3 p.m. So you can check out them on LinkedIn. You can find out all kinds of positions open, like a maintenance manager, BOP technician, electrician too, which you need to go to trade school for sometimes. That's what we're talking about.
They do a lot of internal training, though, remember, from the episode with Mark. So definitely tune into that, because there could be a lot of relevant training that they actually offer themselves for those positions. It'd definitely be worth having a look. And they are definitely one of the premier oilfield service companies in Appalachia, for sure. Mm-hmm. So good starting point for anybody. And then second platinum sponsor, we have Macuso's. Thank you guys so much for being a sponsor. We are actually going to get a list of their services and give them a little shout out next week, but we do appreciate you for coming on as a platinum sponsor. And then obviously we have Women's Energy Network sponsoring us as well. And we have an exciting announcement. We've actually been asked to be the MCs for the Boots and Ball Gowns this year at the Westin Hotel. So super excited. We'll be giving away the awards to all of the wonderful females who are receiving awards at that event. We do hope that you guys can make it. That event is in August, and we will announce that a little bit further down the line. It's always absolutely fabulous. And then we want to do a quick rundown of upcoming events. So April 20th, that's this Thursday, is actually the APA Spring Clay Shoot, and it is at Hunting Hills. Super excited for that. Can't wait to get the gun back out. Also April 20th is the SPE Pints and Posters Student Contest and Awards at South Point Golf Club. And I'm going to run through.
Be there.
You'll be there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can see me at the APA Clay Shoot, or you can see Sarah at SPE. And then I'm going to do a little bit of the beginning of May. So May 4th is the Pyoga Clay Shoot and Networking. They're actually doing it at Promised Land Sporting Clays in Freeport, PA. May 8th is Go West Virginia Spring Swing, which is down at Berry Hills Country Club. That's in Charleston, West Virginia. And then May 9th, we have two events, ABGPA's second quarterly luncheon at Bella Sarah. And then also on May 9th, we have the APA Executive Golf Outing, which is at Nemacolin. And there are many more events coming out in May, but I think we're going to leave it there. That's enough kind of for our calendar, announcements today. And then we aren't going to go through the upcoming podcast schedule. We've had a couple of schedule changes just with some things that have come out and not come out in the media with our How to Blow Up a Pipeline special, but we are still going to address that issue. But Sarah has a pretty exciting announcement.
Yes, Chris Wright with Liberty Frac, the CEO, is going to be on our show. He's an amazing energy advocate. He graduated from MIT, and he's just fantastic at speaking for and promoting the benefits of our industry. He's really amazing.
Yeah, he is. He actually came and spoke not this last January, but the January before at the AADE. We had him. He visited us and went through their ESG report efforts and just some of his views on our industry. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, he's another gentleman that comes from that more ecologic environmental background, mm-hmm. right? We seem to have a lot of those. It repeats itself in this industry.
His ESG report is called Bettering Human Lives. If you Google it, I highly suggest. It's very comprehensive, it's very approachable, and it really goes over all of the benefits of our industry.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's probably one of the best ones that I've ever read.
Mm-hmm, same.
So without further ado, we want to welcome Bill Lucas to the show. Bill Lucas is with Junior Achievement. We've known each other for I don't know how many years, quite a few years now.
Yeah, almost a decade.
Yeah, absolutely. And Junior Achievement has always been super impressive to me since the first day that he kind of explained what he had going on there. So, Bill, if you don't mind telling us your current position at Junior Achievement and just a little bit about your family, your personal beginnings before we roll into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again so much for having me on. I was really excited when you guys started the podcast. I thought that it's something that the industry in general needs, and also something locally. We've been kind of fighting the good fight for the oil and gas industry for over a decade. We've been involved with, Junior Achievement has, with the oil and gas industry for a long time. And so me personally, I'm executive vice president for Junior Achievement, been with the organization over 18 years, actually started in 2000, left in 06. I'm born in Alabama, but moved up here when I was 4.
I didn't know you were from Alabama.
Yeah, Anniston, Alabama.
He's keeping secrets from me.
He said his Bama accent comes out when he gets passionate.
Yeah, a little bit. Get me around someone with a southern drawl.
Howdy.
Yeah, but my mom's from Wilkinsburg, dad's from Penn Hills, and we moved back here when I was 4 and graduated from Plum, went to Westminster College, graduated a little while ago, and then worked for JA from 2006, went to Chicago for a couple of years, Wyoming for a couple of years. That was an adventure. That was actually the first place I was introduced to the oil and gas industry with the methane, and living close to Gillette, Wyoming. And then came back to Pittsburgh in 2010 after my wife said, if you don't...
So that's really when things started kicking off here, or just shortly after, 2 or 3 years after.
Yeah, I remember when one of our board members came to my CEO at the time and said, do you know what Marcellus is? And he said, how do you spell that?
That's what Catherine Klaber said.
Yeah.
She said the same thing. That's funny.
Yeah, so Junior Achievement, we really inspire kids to think big. We're trying to level that playing field of success for them and ensuring that all of our kids, regardless of where they come from, they really have that equal opportunity for success. And so our footprint for Junior Achievement in Western Pennsylvania, we cover all of northern West Virginia, everything from Parkersburg up to Erie, then all the way over to State College.
It's such a big territory, and they added to that relatively recently for you guys,
Yeah,
right?
we took over. So it was actually in response to the oil and gas industry. They asked us to actually take over the entire state of West Virginia, but we didn't have the resources to do so and the staff. So we said, well, because the majority of the oil and gas companies were in the northern half of the state, we said we'd take the 22 counties in the north.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it was it was oil and gas that brought us together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the kind of synergies between what they have going on and what the energy sector wanted to give to and for Junior Achievement. So what was the original connection between Junior Achievement and the oil and gas sector? Was it CNX? Was it Range? I know that multiple companies have worked with you guys.
So actually our history with the oil and gas industry goes back decades.
Okay.
So from Equitable to Peoples to Range Resources was the first real E&P company that we got really involved with. They had actually, interestingly, been funding the programs in Washington County for several years before I even started looking at building a curriculum around the oil and gas industry. So it was really kind of fortuitous that we had this partner unbeknownst to me. So
but what a good testament that they weren't necessarily interested in what they were going to get at it. Yeah, it was more about truly giving those programs and those facilities to kids.
Yeah, absolutely. They just, and that's the one thing I always tell folks about the industry is they really are so charitable and community minded and giving back into those communities that because they know their workers. It was the first thing I had when we lived in Wyoming is we were by far the reddest state in the country. They had voted 98% for George Bush when he ran for president, but they're fiercely environmental. So when I was there, Dave Friedenthal was the governor of Wyoming, and they called him a gun-toting Democrat. And because they wanted to protect their wildlife and their lands and their streams because they're hunters and fishers first and then everything else. So it was really interesting dichotomy between what we see in other parts of the country is the left versus the right argument.
And I'm trying to bridge that. I mean, we talk about all of the time. I'm working with Jason White. There's a shout out to yourself, Jason. He's very involved in the outdoors, the synergies between the Farm Bureau, the synergies between educational organizations like yourselves. They literally go hand in hand. And I think that's missing from these conversations a lot. I think people don't realize how much they do. And that's one of our missions too, is to make sure that we draw those connections between those things.
And that was really our impetus for the Careers in Energy program that we originally built in partnership with the industry. So back in 2010, the Marcellus Shale Coalition was just really getting up and running, and Katie Klaber, who was their first president, came to us and said, hey, we want to educate this next generation about these careers. Because if you asked anyone in Western Pennsylvania about coal mining or about some of the steel or if you would have made fun of a coal miner or a steel worker, you would have got punched right in the nose.
Correct. Yes.
But for some reason
I'll still punch you in the nose if you make fun of coal miners or steel workers, just saying.
Exactly. But yeah, there was just this kind of misinformation that was out there about the oil and gas industry. And what we looked at it as from Junior Achievement's perspective, because we really focus on 3 core areas: financial literacy, so making sure kids understand money management and how money works.
Which is totally missing in school these days.
Entrepreneurship, so thinking entrepreneurially, having that entrepreneurial mindset, starting businesses. Small business is the number one driver for economics in the country. Most people think that it's the massive Fortune 500 companies that make up the majority of our economy, and it's not. It's small businesses, so we really promote small business. And then also workforce. So how important workforce is, making sure that our kids understand what's the pathway to success, what does success mean like to you, defining success. Some people, success is family. Some people, it's making a lot of money. Some, it's work-life balance. So how do you define success and how do you get there? And how does your career help you achieve those goals, and how does the education and training help you get there? So we try to connect the dots for kids kindergarten all the way through 12th grade.
And did you not tell me at one point that like 8th grade was that optimal kind of age around about there, right? So, to really start.
Yeah, if you don't get to kids by middle school with meaningful education, especially around careers and especially around STEM education. So STEM education is actually a little lower. It's between 4th and 5th grade, especially for girls. You've lost them because kids start making. So there was actually a study done back in the early 2000s. It was by the Gates Foundation, and it was called the Silent Epidemic, I believe. And they asked a bunch of kids that had dropped out of high school, why did you drop out of high school? What was the driving factor? Mm-hmm. And they said, we didn't see how what we were learning in school meant future success, like how that tied to future success. So what Junior Achievement does is we bring the real world into the classroom. So the kids said that they made that conscious decision to drop out of high school. You can't drop out of high school until, I think in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to be 17 years old with the parents' consent. So they made that conscious decision to drop out of high school between 7th and 8th grade.
Wow. But they couldn't until they were 17?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they've checked out. If you've made that decision, you have checked out. Yep. They are not, you know what I mean? They're not going to be paying attention in class. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yep. So going back to the workforce piece, it was Junior Achievement saw this opportunity for our kids in a workforce of family sustaining careers, and we had seen lifetime careers with companies like EQT, Range Resources.
Those legacy careers that we have had in this area for a long time. 3 generations of steel workers, or three or 4 generations of coal miners. It was this new industry that was doing that again.
And then all the supporting industries too. All the people that were out there buying boots and trucks and eating at the local places and the housing market and everything else. So we were like, we need to educate our kids about these opportunities, because when we started developing the program and the curriculum, we did a pilot down in Charleroi. And I never forget sitting in the back of the classroom, and the kids, we were asking them questions, and these are 8th graders. We were asking them questions about, where do you see yourself in this industry? And this is what E&P companies do, and this is what midstream does and upstream. these kids didn't even know how energy worked. So
Wow.
we had to take a step back, and we completely tore the program apart because kids didn't understand, baseload power generation. They didn't understand kilowatt per hour. They didn't understand that just because you drive an electric car, that in Pennsylvania at the time, it was, I think, 70% of your energy was coming from a coal plant down the river, burning coal to get you that energy.
Kids don't know this, but adults also don't know that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
so wish that I experienced junior achievement when I was in 8th grade, because this industry has been, aligned with my personality since I was little. But I didn't know. I went to school to be a nurse, and then I had to do some gross stuff, and I was like, this is not for me,
Right.
But if I would have known about this earlier, I definitely, my first degree would have been in petroleum engineering.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we made that realization that kids didn't really understand energy to begin with, because what they learn in school, it's really basic. So we realized to educate them about careers in the energy industry, we had to talk about all the different types of energy,
Yeah.
from renewables to biomass to hydroelectric, oil and gas, coal. What are the pros and cons to each, just like everything in life?
I love that, just from so many, not only from a career perspective. One of the best things, so my son went to school in Scotland, and the coolest thing I pulled out of the education over there is they actually have religious education from kindergarten until the year they graduate. And when I say religious education, they cover every religion on the planet. So they learn about the Jewish faith, the Buddhist faith. When you talk about giving them a good base to be temperate and understanding and to not have biases, it's when you do something like that. You teach them everything, right, from the basics, so that they can make clear choices that are informed. And that's what we're missing, particularly in energy. So it's great that you guys have made those efforts on our behalf and for our kids' behalves, right, to give them that base.
Yeah.
So-
So we took it from a completely informational, non-biased perspective. And actually the first iteration of the program, I'll never forget, it was called Shale the Wealth. And
I love that.
well, yeah, it was a great day, but God bless the woman that created it. We didn't even realize even the bias that had.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, you're going to make so much money in this industry. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Maybe, but, there's lots of booms and busts, right? We've all seen
Listen,
them.
it's very, very volatile.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it and addictive, but volatile.
Yeah. So, and we also knew, because our programs go directly into the schools, that if it wasn't completely fact-based, the teachers, rightfully so, were never going to let it into their
Sure.
classrooms.
Yeah.
So even though we had industry volunteers going in to teach it, which was difficult in certain places to begin with, having that really apolitical curriculum really helped.
And even keeping it that way, did you have backlash from teaching that at all?
Oh, yeah.
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 I would imagine so.
Yeah. I had a woman call me and tell me, how dare I talk to kids about this. I said, Miss, with all due
How
respect.
dare I talk to them about the facts? Yeah. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's education, right?
Yeah.
These
I said,
days.
this is all about the
if you take
jobs.
an industry or anything and all you do is talk about all the benefits or all of the not the negatives of something, and don't acknowledge any of the benefits, don't you automatically think that they're disingenuous? Like, what if you said this lemon car was like a Lamborghini, but it's actually a Honda, but it runs off of like 75 miles per gallon, and it can fly? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you understand my point?
I do. Yeah.
Can you word it better?
No, I think it's really good, that program, just giving, the unbiased, very base across the board, because we are not against any energy source. I say that repeatedly. There's a place in our future and in our path for everything. It's just about timing and technology and research and being logical and using what actually makes sense for us now, which is natural gas, obviously.
Absolutely.
So moving on, I've actually been to BizTown, which is phenomenal. And I actually went when it was an open shell and there was nothing there. And then I've been back since you guys have opened. You have to go. We have to go. And actually, if we could get permission, we should go and film there. Because
Absolutely.
I think that would be
Welcome.
amazing
Yeah.
to actually see it. But tell us a little bit about what BizTown is. And I know that you do have some energy companies that have supported those efforts as well.
Yes. So BizTown is a educational program for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And so they have 9 hours of curriculum in the classroom first, all about business finance, personal finance, career exploration, civics. They interview for one of 125 different jobs that are inside BizTown. They get hired for one of them. Yeah, they actually put together a resume.
It's so cool.
They interview, they get hired. So they really learn what it's like to be part of the interview process, also to work and why you work. You work to make money and to provide for yourself and your family and your community. Then they do an election. They elect a mayor, a treasurer, a police officer,
But
a magistrate.
BizTown is like an actual facility, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a building that they go to, and it's like a little town. So there's like there's like the mayor's office. There's like a bank. There's like, I mean, it's an actual town these kids are in doing this for the day. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, so at the culmination of that 9 hours of curriculum, which is usually done, so it's taught by the teachers, a little bit different than the junior achievement model of having volunteers take programs into classrooms. The teachers teach it because it's such a deep dive for the kids. They hop on a bus, and actually we have students there today from Ben Franklin Elementary from Bethel Park School District, and give them a shout out. And they spend the 4.5 hours at BizTown being an adult, learning what it means to balance a checking book, to take out a business loan, there's B2B, so business-to-business commerce and business-to-consumer commerce. So the storefronts are selling things to each other and to the other kids that are inside BizTown.
You know what I think would be cool? And I don't know if you do this, but what if you like said the job? One thing I would have liked to know whenever I was in 8th grade or like until I was 30 are like the salaries of different jobs, but not just the salaries, the job securities of different jobs, you know? Like I got my first degree in business and job security was low, you know?
Yeah. And actually, so in some of our other programs, like our J Career Success and different ones, we try to look for high growth, high demand careers. So we're looking for things that are not outdated. They're not going to go away in 3 to 5 years. So in each of the storefronts there in BizTown, there's a CEO and a CFO because you need someone to run the business. You need a financial person to run payroll and open up the business loan and everything else. The other 3 to 4 jobs inside each of the storefronts is dictated by the companies. So they're looking to identify high growth, high demand careers. And so like, for example, UPMC, they have UPMC Children's in BizTown, and they realized during COVID they couldn't find radiology techs or x-ray techs. So our board member, John Kerlicki, called me and he said, hey, Bill, I need to start educating this next generation about these careers so that we'll have them in 5 or 6 years. And they actually added an x-ray, like radiology machine into their storefront and added a job. So that's when the light bulb clicked for me how responsive this program especially could be to current industry and economic conditions.
Did they get to do x-rays?
No.
I'd be like x-raying my face.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at my bone structure?
Do you want to go and play with the machine?
I do.
We can do
how
that when we
often?
visit.
I will say UPMC rocked their storefront up because the other things inside the storefront do work. So we always have to wipe everything down afterwards.
I am sure the kids are probably all over it. And so the energy sector did have a part in the success and the actual completion of that project too. I know that.
Yeah. We've had, so from a volunteer perspective, we've had Williams, Equitrans Midstream, Olympus Energy, MPLX. They've all sponsored schools to come to BizTown. CNX was one of our early partners on the project. Range Resources is our Welcome Center sponsor. So every single kid that comes into BizTown gets a little bag, a drawstring bag from Range Resources. And it has a bunch of materials they take home to their parents, and then all the stuff they buy during the day. So Calgon Carbon sells light up bouncy balls, and the kids can go to Coppers and make slime, and they take all that stuff with them home to their parents. And we haven't gotten any complaints about the slime yet, which I'm surprised.
I'm really surprised too, actually. I am actually really surprised.
The other really cool thing that Range did was they helped us build an augmented reality app, so an AR app.
Oh, I remember you showing me that.
So the kids actually get to go around and they point their tablets at a trigger, they call, and a little person pops up and talks about how each of those companies utilizes energy. Like, for example, Giant Eagle, it shows how they use CNG in their trucks. So it goes from their yard to fill up to the warehouse to the store.
We need those for life.
Yeah.
For all the time. Could you imagine
Yeah.
all the triggers? Like this whole room would be, oil and gas
I think
triggers.
you're my trigger.
I'll be your trigger. My oil field wife.
So, what about trade schools? We're huge proponents of trade schools. Does Junior Achievement work with or do anything in regards to trade schools?
We do. We have always partnered with our trade schools. Beatty Tech has been a huge partner for us for a long time. Western Area CTC. We have operating boards in each of the counties that we work in. And our Washington County board, when Dr. Iannotti was still there, we used to hold our meetings at their center. So we've always had really strong partnerships. We actually have just spent the last 6 weeks, I believe, teaching junior achievement programs at Western Area to their graduating seniors about soft skills and not necessarily how to get the job, but how to keep the job.
Wow.
And then we've also done resume writing. I was actually down there probably 3 weeks ago doing mock interviews with the students. So I talked to, somehow I had all boys, but there was welding, HVAC, auto body, and then automotive.
We are so desperate for mechanics in our industry and in every industry. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting to me when I was talking to these kids was almost all of them already had their life kind of mapped out. So they already knew.
At what age were these?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were 17, 18 years old.
I mean, at that age, I still had no clue. I thought I had a clue. I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Right?
It was in nursing school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have really strong partnerships with our CTCs. We also we do work with other trade organizations, so the union trades, non-union, the trade schools like Rosedale Tech. We've done partnerships with a lot of them because we want to serve. We're trying to connect the dots from K to 12 because you can never start early enough doing career exploration because we have a saying that kids can't be what they can't see. So if kids don't know those opportunities are out there, they don't see how do I get there? They don't see examples of success that look like them. Mm-hmm. That's why I always think it's really important to have more diverse volunteers in our classrooms, to have more women in our classrooms, not just from the girls' perspective to empower them, but also to allow boys to see girls in leadership roles, and so that it builds that respect so we're trying to connect those dots and build pathways.
Well, there are so many women out there, young girls who, like I was a rough woman. Like I wasn't clean. I'm still not clean, but I had 2 older brothers. Like I thought I was a boy growing up. Like I was a tomboy.
Female. Neither was I.
I like to play in the dirt.
Me too.
This career path.
Nothing much has changed about us, if we're honest.
Hey, we clean up. But anyway, like there's so many women out there, young girls, who don't know that a trade school is for them. And when we were doing research, only 5% of, 5% of field workers are women.
In the oil field, there's only 5% of us guys. There's like hardly any.
And there's so many women who have a similar personality to us who are doing things that they don't want to do because they didn't know.
Yes, can't figure out what it is or why they don't fit in or why they're not particularly happy with the choices that they've made because they don't even know that this is an option for them.
I was having lunch with the Boilermakers a little while ago, and I was intimating a story where we took a group of students, high school kids, out to the Advanced Tech Center. So it's the old Sony Volkswagen plant in Fayette County, or I guess it's Westmoreland. And the girls actually did better than the boys on the virtual welder. And the best
welders are girls. I'm sorry, guys. Everybody's going to kill me.
Motor skills, nimble fingies.
Yeah. And the guy from the Boilermakers was like, yeah, absolutely. He said, I have a husband-wife team, and I send his wife out every single time.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
They're just certain things. I mean, I think both sides of things have certain things that they excel in, but there are definitely things within our industry that I think that we are very capable of and, in fact, excel in, and we're just not great about getting that message out there. Talking about that, I mean, I just want to kind of name talk about this one fact before we move on from trade schools, because I actually want you to talk a little bit about the Empower conference that you guys do for young ladies. But the construction industry will need to attract approximately 546,000 additional workers on top of the normal pace of hiring of 2023. I mean, as an industry and in industrial construction, oil and gas, we are really struggling with employment, and it's across the board. It's quite scary, actually. And I don't really know what the solution is for it. More organizations like yourselves.
Well, it's not only that. We don't have enough human beings. We don't have enough people. I live in Beaver County, and in the mid-'70s, we had over 40,000 K-12 students. Right now, we're hovering right around 20,000.
Wow.
Yeah, we've lost half of our K-12 population just in that. In every county that I talk to, it's the same deal. And we've got to attract folks here. We have to keep our kids here. So if our kids don't see opportunity for themselves,
they
move
from Pennsylvania, or West Virginia.
They chase the sun and the sand. They chase significant others. They chase all sorts of things. But they have to see that Western Pennsylvania, Northern West Virginia, the tri-state region, we're a great place to get education and training, to start a family, to start a career,
a lifelong career.
Yeah, a lifelong career that they don't have to move around. There's just for so long we were spoiled by having the steel industry and everything else, where our parents and grandparents,
you knew what you were going to do, right?
Yeah.
From kindergarten, you pretty much, your dad worked in the steel mines. That's what you were going to do, right? And it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
Really.
So we have to show them why this is the greatest place. I mean, I moved back, and there are so many of us boomerangs that came back to Western Pennsylvania.
I came back.
Yeah, because we had to see somewhere else and be like, oh, I miss it.
Absolutely. It makes it real. So we are obviously huge proponents of women in energy and women in non-traditional careers. Women's Energy Network certainly helps get that message out and covers all kind of aspects of that. But you also hold a conference every year for young ladies, not just for energy, but just period. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We do. So last year, we held our first Empower Her Summit, and it is a phenomenal program. So last year we had about 100 girls attend. This year we had 130 attend, and they're all from high schools as far north as Crawford County and Erie, all the way over to Somerset County. We'll pull from West Virginia as well.
What ages?
All high school.
Okay.
Yeah, all high school girls.
So my daughter is here. Naili, come over here. You're coming on here. She's right here. She's coming on.
We get a cameo.
Yeah, she's coming on for a cameo. You can keep talking, but anyhow, Naili's
she's so
going to
cute
come.
And shy. You should see her face.
She's like, so unhappy with me. This is my daughter, Naili. Look, she's so pleased to be here. Can you tell? She's coming to this summit next year.
Yes, absolutely.
She absolutely needs to come. That's you.
So
I love you.
It's at Carlow University, and which just had a lot of synergies. Traditionally was an all-girls school for a long time, and Dr. Humphreys, their president, who's been there a couple of years, is phenomenal. And it is a day long of workshops and women's empowerment and trainings. It really gives these girls a 10-year head start on life. So we had Williams, Olympus Energy, Equitrans, Range Resources. They all came out, in addition to PPG, Tri-State Capital, People's Natural Gas, and they would do workshops with the girls around financial literacy, around, take first impressions. So you have 7 seconds to make a first impression. Dress for success.
What was the first impressions lesson?
Oh, I don't know. That's too much. I'm a big fan of Dale Carnegie. So yeah, just always remember someone's name.
Okay.
That is the
and I stink at that, but I have embraced it. I'm 46 years old, and I'm like, do you know what? It's not going to happen. It is what it is. Like, sorry.
So the girls go through this day long of workshops, and then we had a speaker this year who was amazing. Her name is Alicia Kozak. And Alicia was actually the first highly publicized internet grooming case for abduction in the entire country. Yeah, and she was actually abducted in 2001 from Crafton Heights here in Pittsburgh.
Wow! So this is I'm not even familiar with this case. I'll have to look it up.
She was on Oprah. She was on the cover for People magazine. And when she was 13 years old, this creep from Herndon, Virginia, groomed her online and came up to Pittsburgh, kidnapped her. The FBI saved her right in the nick of time. But her message was so powerful because it was around resiliency. And it was around, horrible things happen to me in life, but that's not what dictates my future. Yeah, it's not who I am.
Wait, the FBI saved her right in time?
Yeah.
How did they know?
I don't know the details
we'll probably
of the case.
have to look it up. Yeah, we'll have to look it up.
My wife does all that. Anytime we ever watch anything, she does like the deep dive on,
Yeah.
on the research.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah. And her message was so powerful that all the girls walked out of there really kind of in awe. And I probably had about 5 moms come out to me and say, I'm going home immediately and talking to my daughter or my son about this. And because one of the questions that she asked was, because she asked the question, she had all the girls put their heads down so they couldn't see the other responses, and it was, how many of you have a social media account? Everyone raised their hand. Then it was, how many of you have talked to someone that you don't know? And half the girls raised their hand.
And the other half were lying.
Yeah. Honestly, seriously.
Yeah.
So it's really scary what our kids are up against right now. So this day long, and then we had a woman from Range Resources who was amazing. She talked about her career pathway and how some people in life, they go from here to here and it's a straight line, and then other folks it's a jagged line all over the place. And it's great for the girls to hear that, because we had 4 different speakers that really had different perspectives of what their career and their life got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So I know that you guys are always looking for partners. So before we move on to anything else, I just want you to do your plug, because Junior Achievement is it has so many amazing programs and things like that. And I know that people that are listening to this are going to want to know how they can become involved with Junior Achievement, either financially in sponsorship or volunteer or whatever. I think it's super important, because it's a very unique program what they have going on there.
Absolutely. So we're always looking for volunteers. If you want to inspire the next generation, if you care about the community, care about our kids. Yeah, you care about the future. And what I always say about Junior Achievement is there's lots of organizations out there, and they're all doing great work. And what Junior Achievement, the need that we really fill is we're proactive. So we're future looking in terms of, you will always need a safety net out there. You need food banks, you need the United Ways, you need all these organizations to create this safety net. What Junior Achievement's doing is we're making sure that future generations need less of them. Like they need less of that. Like they're writing a check to the food bank rather than needing the services. So Junior Achievement is empowering our kids and our future.
It's a preemptive solution,
exactly,
right? Rather than dealing with the consequences, which unfortunately is what's happening most right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that proactiveness.
Yeah. So we actually have 2 things specific to the energy industry even. So on May 24th, we're actually going to have, in partnership with the Marcellus Shale Coalition, we're going to have an energy day at BizTown. So
March 24th?
March 24th.
Write it down.
No, sorry, not March.
May 24th.
Yeah, we're already past March 24th.
Yeah, I was going to say, write it down.
Yeah, on May 24th. And I should know that. It's my son's birthday. But
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And we'll have every single one of the volunteers, for the most part, inside BizTown that day are going to be from local energy companies.
Okay.
And then on May 12th, we have our annual clay shoot down at Hunting
I just saw
Hills.
that on LinkedIn. I need to add that to our list too.
Yeah, so that's always a fun time. Equitrans Midstream is our presenting sponsor. Southwestern Energy is our welcome sponsor. So we always have a lot of energy companies involved with that event as well. And that's just a fun day. It's.
I don't need an excuse to go and shoot things, Bill. I think you know this. Like, there's no excuse needed.
It's funny. The number of people I talk to that are like, oh, I really want to go shooting, but they always have to go to a Seven Springs or an Emicole and somewhere that rents guns, because not a lot of people have their own shotguns.
I got you guys.
Yeah,
if you need to borrow a gun, you just call me.
Yeah. I'm looking at a nice TriStar right now. So.
I'll volunteer.
So also kind of above and beyond Junior Achievement, you sit on the board for ELN, Energy Leaders Network. Tell us how that came about and a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. So the organization actually grew out of young professionals in energy. So the Pittsburgh chapter of YPE, we spun off, I'm guessing, five years ago maybe. And I started it because of my relationship with the energy industry and with Josh Hickman. So
I love Josh.
Yeah.
Hi, Josh.
Yeah, so between Josh and Dan Weaver and the MSC and everybody else, it just made sense for me to join the board. So Josh invited me on, and I was kind of the like the nonprofit partner, and because of the Careers in Energy program, it just made a lot of sense because we really believed in the future of the industry. So the group spun off, and then Josh actually recently retired from the from the board. He and that team had been running that. He and his wife Jess did a phenomenal job getting it to where it is today. And then people like John Berglund and all those guys and Derek. So myself, Mandy Gailey, some of the other
Love you, Mandy.
Yeah, Christy Capo. So
Sorry.
we took over the board seats and are now actually recruiting new board members. So Jen and Sarah, you go.
We added to the list.
That's right. But really, it's to promote opportunities in the energy industry. It's really a networking type of event, and to make sure that people understand. And it's not just oil and gas.
Actually,
it's all
now
types
that you
of
say
energy.
that, somebody needs to take responsibility from that board to email me your list of events.
Yeah, absolutely.
So make a note for yourself
Yeah.
because we
Mandy,
need to get those.
are you listening?
Mandy, remember to send me your events so we can get them added to the list.
Yeah. But we're going to get back to holding of events. But the one thing that I missed that I want to bring back to the group was we used to have educational events. So we would have all the different oil and gas, but also all the different wind and solar and all the energy come. And it wasn't a debate. It was just a round table of here are the benefits and here are the struggles
The synergies
have.
and
yeah, this is how we could be working together, because we all talk about this energy mix, but then we're not mixing as, professionals.
Well, we had, I can't remember which episode it was, but I touched on, I had actually had a phone conference with some of Senator Manchin's energy team. And I was like, I'd been recently to a potential location that they were putting a solar farm. And I was quite frankly really disturbed by what I was seeing as far as practices were concerned. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we've been doing this for a long, long time here. Like, utilize us as experts. It's not that we don't want you here. We see, a future for all of this. Why are we not talking so that you're not making the same mistakes that we made 50 years ago, right? And that also creates further opportunities for individuals that do want to move over in our sector and create those synergies rather than working against each other, right? I think that's super important. I do. Because there is a place in our future for all of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, no, that's exciting. ELN is a great organization, and Mandy, we do need those events to be added to this list. So back to Junior Achievement. How long has Junior Achievement been in existence?
Oh, this is my favorite question.
Mine too. I'm so excited.
So Junior Achievement was founded in 1919. So if you're a history buff at all, that is the year after the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and that's the revolution that really allowed communism and socialism to take hold in Russia. So 3 businessmen got together up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and they wanted to make sure the kids understood what makes America the greatest country in the face of the earth. And it was American free enterprise. It was private industry. It was individuality.
Small businesses.
It was small businesses. So they started a program called Junior Achievement and had kids conceptualize, capitalize, and operationalize a business. And that's really what Junior Achievement...
Since 1919. That's mind-blowing to me.
So in 1939, the president, actually the chairman of Westinghouse here in Pittsburgh, A.W. Robertson, Dr. Robertson was up in New York City because in the 20s, the headquarters of Junior Achievement moved from Springfield, Mass. Over to New York City because that's where all the companies were based. And he was up there at the Waldorf Astoria for meetings and literally crashed a Junior Achievement Board meeting and heard about what they were talking about. So you think about Pittsburgh in the 30s, it was industry, it was business. So he came back and he got the heads of Koppers, U.S. Steel, and Gulf Oil. And if you think Gulf Oil is now Chevron.
Yep.
And they called 200 of their closest friends to the William Penn Hotel, or to the Duquesne Club. And, over cigars and cordials, they petitioned our national office of junior achievement for the first charter of an affiliate office outside the home office of New York City.
So
in the
this is
entire country.
we're the first charter here.
So we're the first chapter.
That's really cool.
First charter of junior achievement. And
those guys were like royalty back in the day, right?
Yeah,
like these were like
absolutely.
the celebrity rich men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 1940, we actually 40 students had in the basement of the William Penn Hotel was where the first junior achievement program happened here in Pittsburgh.
Wow. So the synergies between energy and junior achievement have basically go back to the very almost beginning, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I want it to continue that way. I saw value, like I said, in the program and in yourself, Bill, and what you guys were trying to achieve from the very moment that I kind of stumbled across the program. I actually think it was Louise Wolf that did that introduction.
Oh, Ms.
She's
Louise.
one of my favorites. I
Oh,
love you,
yeah.
Louise. Tell us a little bit about your virtual career platform.
Yes. So because we deal so much in career readiness and career exploration, when COVID hit, we used to hold an in-person career fair out in Monroeville for about 2,000 kids. And we would have anywhere from 40 to 50 different vendors. And then when COVID hit, it really turned us on our ear. So nationally, we started using a virtual platform for career fairs called V-Fairs. And now companies go in, they have a booth that's completely virtual. Companies can upload videos, a day in the life, a training program about their company, a message from their CEO, what's the competitive advantage.
We should make sure that Mark, with his virtual stuff, knows about that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
About the virtual, ooh.
Yeah. And actually, I was going to mention that. So we were up at Deep Well a few weeks ago to see their amazing training facility.
Oh,
Holy
gosh.
cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt showed us
Tarigny?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dude.
Yeah, that dude's awesome. And he commented on my boots, so I like him. Yeah, they're phenomenal. So now we're looking at partnering with them to do some stuff as well. But the platform, they can upload all that information, PDFs. They can actually have like a directional, you click on it and it takes you out to their hiring page. They can list sponsorships, internships, scholarships that they do, anything. Yeah, co-ops.
So I think kind of in conclusion, I know you've talked about the fact that you guys are always looking for partnerships and you have this virtual platform. We're an industry that's seriously struggling with a workforce that we can't find. How exactly do people get in touch with Junior Achievement to either access the virtual career platform? I mean, I can think of multitudes of companies that probably don't know that this exists,
Right.
that we can kind of connect you guys with. And then also, how do they get in touch with you guys if they want to help?
Yeah, so we are locally affiliated.
They're in Bridgeville.
Yeah, so our office is outside Bridgeville in South Fayette Township, and that's where BizTown's located as well. So you can contact me directly. You guys have my contact. You can put it out there.
I think we'll probably put it on this video if we could, just because of the nature of this one, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so that people can kind of get in touch.
Or visit our website at www.jawesternpa.org.
Fantastic. Bill, do you have any final thoughts or anything? I can't thank you enough, and I can't stress how passionate I am about what you guys are doing, and thank you guys for kind of really helping form our next generation.
Yeah, I was getting chills listening to you today.
He's very passionate about it,
Yeah,
too, which
it's
helps.
cool.
I love it so much. I came back. It really is for us. It's a mission.
Yeah.
And it's all about the kids, and it's about making sure that they're prepared and they're given those tools to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, we thank you so much for joining us, Bill, and we thank everybody for joining us and tuning in. And this has been another episode of Energy First with Sarah and Jed.